in the heart of Patterson, California. A historic building and a shared dream are about to change everything. This is the story of how a family's legacy and a community spirit came together to create something extraordinary.
I'm Bob Campana, the little helper that basically
you can quote that.
and I basically was commandeered by Mr. Maring to design and help him construct the restaurant as a contractor and put it all together. Next to me is Ed Maring, the proprietor and owner of the building and the brainchild of why this restaurant exists.
Well, we got the name the old water office because that's what the original building was. It's probably 100 years old, and now Patterson Water District has moved out to new quarters out of town, and I bought this building approximately 20 years ago and always looked for something to develop here that never really came to fruition until I one day talked to Bob, and we both agreed that it would make a fine restaurant, and I think it will. And the idea is that it is the old water office because the new water office is out of town.
With a $2 million budget, well used and even surpassed, the team set out to create something truly special. Every detail in the restaurant was handcrafted in Bob's fabrication shop, reflecting a stunning Spanish colonial style. Even the grandchildren got involved, helping to paint the beautiful beams that run throughout the space.
Mr. Maring is a farmer here in Patterson, and his family's been farming here for how long? 50 years?
It's over 60.
How long?
60.
60 years. The building was utilized by the ditch tenders and the farmers to distribute the water before cell phones. So every farmer up and down Highway 33 and the west side over here knew of this building. Now, Mrs. Maring and Mr. Maring have been married for over 50 years. How long?
We're like 64.
64 years.
No, we married 58.
Testament,
How does that work? Yeah,
a testament to, which is basically a very rarity in our society anymore, but for 20 plus years, Ed has harbored this idea to change the old irrigation office into a restaurant. Never told Mrs. Maring anything about it. She had no frickin' idea. So he basically decides that when my daughter married his grandson, Zach, and he watched the operations of the Redwood Cafe for many years in the background, he's calculating out how he can coerce me into building the restaurant here. Once he had made that decision, he pigeonholed me into a corner, and I was not able to escape until I acquiesced to agreeing to do the job.
This project was filled with adventure and ingenuity. Picture Ed climbing a ladder, crafting a fireplace out of materials salvaged from an old military base, or imagine the locally sourced wood throughout the restaurant, coming from personal friends and local farmers in the area. Every piece of this restaurant tells a story. But the real magic of this project lies in the unique dynamic between Ed and Bob. Their friendship, built on mutual respect and a shared vision, became the driving force behind this restaurant. Together, they created more than just a business, they created a legacy.
You got a story for me?
Yeah, I had to pick my wife's breakfast.
I mean, how do you argue with that?
Now, the other night we went down to...
Wait. You wouldn't even get this in what I said. All right, yeah, sit down. Yeah, that's just like very hurtful. Okay. Oh, do we have enough scraps, everybody? Take a look at the scrap pile. The Ed's thinking is limited to our ability to put an eyebrow over this window. Is there any jaundice eye observations you're going to make downstairs?
Yeah. You mean you're talking right there in the middle?
No, he's talking about the green.
Oh, underneath. That's got you. Okay. That is
Blarney Green. The Blarney Green.
then the
I want to get down here, Ed.
Yeah, you sure you do. I can see how bad you...
Why are you being, we gave you...
Because I have certain ideas, and if I don't yell a little bit, you don't hear me.
That's because of my hearing aids, not because I'm not wanting to listen.
Okay.
The old water office has already caught the attention of the community and beyond. Local news channels like Good Day Sacramento and the Modesto Bee have taken notice, showcasing the incredible journey of this historic transformation. This is more than just a restaurant. It's a celebration of family, history, and the spirit of Patterson. It's a place where memories will be made, birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, and graduations. It's a gift to the town and a testament to what can happen when passion, creativity, and community come together. Join us as we continue to share the stories, challenges, and triumphs of the Old Water Office restaurant. Subscribe to our channel and be part of the journey.
Well, here we are, the Old Water Office, Patterson, California. When we started our trip of creating this restaurant, it was almost 2 years ago. And now I'm going to give you a walkthrough tour through the restaurant in the day, and then we're going to shoot it again at night so you get a feel. And I'm going to try and share with you most of my thoughts on how I put this program together. So here in the front, when we walk around and take a look, we have the original arched windows that were on the original Patterson Irrigation Water Office building. We came in and made windows out of metal, framed them in, and then made the bottom with the tile. Tiles were used throughout the restaurant to keep the Spanish colonial feel the way it would be done. Landscaping went across the front. We used LED lights to put coloring into it. You'll see when we get the night shots how that really has a beautiful effect on the restaurant. We've got our corner sign up here on the top with the water pump for the denotation of the water office, and then we have the Old Water Office sign here behind us here. Coming down here, we changed the windows from round arch to square to give a little bit of dissymmetry, I guess we would call it, a variation on the front of the restaurant. The lights, as you saw when we were working inside the shop, were all manufactured inside of our shop. We basically tried to do as much as we possibly could to denote custom work all the way through the restaurant. So now we're going to basically walk around the front entrance to the building, and we're going to take a look at how we enter into the courtyard right now. A work of art. Curtis, we've got some pictures of him. This wood was harvested from over on my little farm, black walnut that was along the creek. We cured the wood for over a year inside of a drying kiln, and then we manufactured this door from scratch. The metalwork and everything was done on it inside the shop. It's basically a tactile feel, and it's just like perfectly balanced how this door will move back and forth. It's the way you enter into it. We're starting to get the feel of the restaurant now. And now we're going to walk into the main entry. I'm thinking, how am I going to make the entrance interesting? and how I'm going to make the waiting area to where it's a little bit different than normal. So what we did is we basically took slabs of black walnut and then hung our manufactured light fixtures on those slabs for the entry. And then we came in with the weight bench right here, but we put little tables that we manufactured in the shop as well. And these little tables were made out of tile with the rivets around them. And you'll see the concrete or the steel work all around the restaurant that has the rivets on there to denote. You'll see as we cased in the windows, we use the rivets on that. We kept the original windows from the old Patterson water office district inside and kept that glass in there. When we go into the restaurant on the inside, you'll see I took filigree work that I saw in Seville, Spain, and we basically put that on the inside to give that old world feel there. We're going to put some chairs here along this, and again, then we carried the tile on the inside baseboard, and that tile is obviously a different color that we use. Now I'm starting to even do some more details, which when we finish up some corner pieces of steel going inside. That's going to be looking nice. Each one of the tables is basically configured in a little bit different of a shape. And then we kind of mixed up with the textures, and I went with another black walnut slab here. So when people are sitting here waiting, we'll be able to have the bar maid come in, give them cocktails or drinks, maybe a muse of a small appetizer or something like that, to create a feeling of specialness when they come to the old water office. Now, when we made the bar, we had one piece of oak that came from a major giant tree that fell down in a river from a friend of ours, and you'll be able to get a linear shot down this bar. It's absolutely just beautiful, and we did it for a tactile feel. I want you to be at the bar, and I want you to put your hand on it and feel the wood, and we refined it and smoothed it out, but we ran out of wood of the oak. So we had to go to Plan B, and we used a beautiful piece of black walnut, which we had a large amount of, and we made the handicap bar area with the black walnut. And I think the contrast really works nicely for us here. So in other situations, what I'll do is I'll go online, and I'll find something. So like this horse over here, I basically found online, and an artisan put that in. And you'll see a few of these horses around, blue, rust color and so forth like that. And then Bubba the Bull. What a great find that was. I have a great friend, his name's Ted, and Ted basically has a feedlot, and he does a lot of work with cattle, sells a lot of cattle to McDonald's, as a matter of fact, for all of the hamburgers that you'll eat. And Bubba the Bull was a prize animal of his. When Bubba passed, he had him mounted. This bull was an amazing size of an animal. I believe they said he weighed like 2,200 pounds. That's a big bull. I used amber coloring throughout the restaurant, and that amber color gives a glow. When you look at the night shots and you come outside and you look into it, it's got this golden feel to it, which is enticing you to come into the restaurant. I really wanted that amber to go through the whole building, and as you'll see on the night shots, it basically really adds this golden glow, very subtle feeling, calming type of a situation. Each one of the tables that we made for inside the bar was manufactured in the shop. We used the tile from the floor, we used the tile from the front of the restaurant, then we came back and we got our black walnut I mean. The black walnut was made here. We manufactured the base for it out of the steel, and again, it's eclectic. It's not something that is uniform, and it's not something that you can go in a catalog and find. Every single piece on here, we tried to recreate how in days of gone, they used the materials that we'd be able to have access to. Those materials were not uniform, they weren't manufactured, and that's what you're seeing here. All of these different materials that we utilized are basically created specially for the old water office in Patterson. One of the ideas and one of the things that's very important inside of a restaurant is acoustics. And acoustics are something that we go into these restaurants. I'm a little bit old. Well, I am old. 71 years old. My hearing's going bad. So when I go into a restaurant, I'm having trouble hearing conversations and so forth. So what I really focused in on acoustics and how I can absorb sound. And another thing is that down here on the bar, people are sitting here. they're constantly kicking this area in here, kicking it. So what I did is I go, let's put carpet in there. It's going to, number one, absorb sound, which is going to be a good thing. And number two, it's not going to get beat up or scuffed if I was using wood or some kind of another surface in there. And it's worked out. I've done that at a couple of different restaurants, and it basically really adds to it. Then we put a groove inside, and we put the amber light casting down. You'll see at night how that amber light on the carpet, you'll see the texture of the carpet. It's interesting visually to take a look at. And then the shop, we made all of this like metal grate work. We manufactured all of this inside the shop with our kiln, our forge, and we manufactured all the grapes. We bought the leaves, and we put this whole thing together. I'm just so proud of the shop boys, Jake, Mark, Little Hamster. They basically really did a fantastic job on putting this together. Now Curtis, he did the detail. We used a laser cut pattern that I had left over from Redwood Cafe, and we basically made the rack racks. Again, you'll see the amber color being cast down on the glasses to carry that theme through. I had this idea. I go, why don't we get the grandkids, get some stenciling, take the old wood, and have them stencil this ceiling. And I think it just has a fantastic look that basically makes it, again, unique and different. As I was trying to keep the theme going, we started to go, we're going to go with Spain. So when I was in Spain, I was traveling around Spain. I took pictures of the white cities, the flamingo dancers, the bull fighters, and so forth. And how could I incorporate some of those photographs into art? Well, we had an amazing amount of electricity work that had to be done in this restaurant. So what we did is we painted our panel boxes, and that is another detail. They look like art, but there they are, and every one of these panel boxes is a different depiction of Spain. Mrs. Maring loved draft horses, and she wanted to have some draft horses in the restaurant somewhere. So what we figured out is we could make a scene of Patterson foothills, put the draft horses on each side, depict that. I think it works beautifully in the back of the restaurant, and we denote the rolling hills, the vineyards going on there, and the golden color of California in the summer. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to walk down to our first private dining room that we have here. Well, it's not private, it's just a dining room that we put together. We are in our first dining room. You can see we use the old wood in the ceilings again. I think the ceilings are extremely important inside of a building or inside of a commercial place, because a lot of times they're neglected and they're not basically taken to detail. The ceilings in here were the old wood that I sourced again. Absolutely fantastic. You'll see the black registers inside. No purchased products. We didn't go into Home Depot and go, oh, there's an air conditioning duct, let's put it on there. We used old world feelings. When I'm walking back in the restaurant, I'm framing a shot, and if you look up on the lintels, which are the ceiling up here on top, we use massive pieces of wood. We didn't just come across again, how they would have done it in the olden days. They didn't have like rock mill. They hewn the logs, they put them together. These are all black walnut logs that we basically put together. And one of the things you will notice is the trim that we put inside the restaurant. And this trim has a live edge on it, and that live edge was trim. We manufactured the entire trim in the entire restaurant in the shop, milled it, put it in a kiln for almost 6 months, killed all the bugs in it and all of that, and put it together. So now we're going to enter into the main dining room of the restaurant. Here we go. It's not an overly big room, but we've got extra spaces. We got outside patio. We have that dining room that we just left over there. The seats in the restaurant, I think, total about, by everything, about 90 seats inside the restaurant. It's not an overly large restaurant, but it's not a small one either. And what I want to do is get a real feel. So like on the windows, the way that in Spain they would put the filigree work is what I call it. But what you'll see is that denoted on those windows, there's the shape of the heart. And Mr. Maring, and the reason this restaurant was built because of their love of their community and their family. And that heart is denoted in all of the metalwork. As you go around the restaurant, you'll see that. All of the bases of the tables were not bought from a restaurant supply. They were manufactured. We basically buy, these are called balustrades. We can buy these, are manufactured in Italy, and we can get them from a metal supplier. We put them together. We had like a little conference. I had this idea to use like one balustrade to hold it up. Jake goes, why don't we put 4 together? When we put the 4 together, it really made it more stable, and it had a depth look to it. I'm really excited about it. And then we basically brought some lighting in to shine down on that. And I'll probably play with that lighting a little bit from the standpoint of the coloration that I want on that and how that's going to actually work. Then bringing life into the building, into it, where it's not so sterile. The trees, the palms, and as you can see, this amber glow that we're getting inside of the restaurant now. Again, with the art of Spain, the art of celebration. The art is picked for a reason. The art is like, we're here to celebrate, but then again, some of the tapestries are to denote age. They're to denote histories. Everything that I'm looking at through this entire process is create this ambiance and this feel that you're somewhere different. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a walk up the stairs and go into the private dining room of the old water office. So here we go. So here we go up to the private dining room. Marky Mark made the details of the windows, shouting. Again, we used like metal balustrades and pieces of cut and paste out of our metal supplier. Now here we enter into the dining room. This private dining room is going to be very special for people that have visit here. The art behind me on the wall was done by a niece of mine, and it was a depiction of a photograph of cowboys in the Patterson Hills that Mr. Maring had found. The table, if you look on the ceiling, that is the wood quality that we started with to make this table. It was sanded and refined. In 1938, the railroads stopped using clear heart redwood railroad ties and changed to wood that they put creosote on and preservative. A friend of mine found these railroad ties, harvested them, saved them, and we were able to acquire those railroad ties and make this table out of clear heart redwood. There was a railroad ties prior to 1938. Oh, here we've got our fireplace glowing. It gives a nice effect. The bowl, and then a pop-up television hidden inside this old trunk. So when we do our presentations for pharmaceutical companies, they're able to hook up to the internet and be able to make presentations. Again, you'll see the heart inside the filigree work. This room has a magical feel to it in my viewpoint, and it's somewhere special when people come to enjoy a family gathering, celebrate a birthday, an anniversary, any kind of a great gathering. It's going to be a special remembered place. The artwork on the wall, the amber glow on that, it just is a fantastic feel. We're going to go outside and take a look at the patio and the lighting that we've got going on there, which is absolutely fabulous. Another ideas that I got from Europe. Let's go. This is an interesting story because this was an alley. And when we came to the city of Patterson and told them that we wanted to have outside dining, the property line is right here on this wall. The city was so cooperative, they gave us a conditional use permit for this alley for over 20 years for a very low amount of money. I think it was like $200 or $300. They really wanted us to build this restaurant, and we basically were taking advantage of it. So now we have beautiful outside dining. You can see in here, when you walk in, how the lighting is starting to take effect in the ceiling. We're starting to create that. And the fire pit. The wood benches absolutely fabulous pieces of wood that we were able to harvest, again, from a tree that fell down. Recycling, sustainability, all of that good stuff going on. And you're going to be able to gather around this fire pit and enjoy wonderful conversation in the evenings. The outside dining here in the summer in California is absolutely fantastic. We had this bank building that was along the back, and it was just like this large wall. It had an aggregate finish to it, which I liked, but it was kind of plain Jane. So what we did is we brought in potted trees that are movable because we have this use permit for a alley, and we weren't able to put trees in that would be permanent. There's all kinds of like infrastructure underneath it, sewer pipes, electrical conduits, gas lines, all this kind of thing. So we weren't able to put trees in. So what we did is we bought trees in a 24-inch box, replanted them in a 36-inch box. So they should last probably 5 to 10 years. And then when they're done, we can bring a crane in, we can pop them out, we can put new trees back in. The lighting on the wall, you'll see the colors are starting to come alive now, but when we look at it at night, it's going to absolutely be breathtaking, and it's going to be visually stimulating when you're having your dinner out here. It's going to be more stimulating after a few cocktails, trust me. The next video that we're going to have is when we bring life to the restaurant and the customers arrive. Thank you so much for joining us on the Old Water Office walkthrough today, and I'm going to be very excited to share with you the action of when this thing comes together and that customers are enjoying it. We'll be interviewing them and see how the city of Patterson is enjoying it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to share the rest of it with you.